The war had lasted 3 years, and everyone thought humanity would lose. The Vorthak Empire had destroyed entire planets with their terrible weapons. Their queen, Nalthis, ruled over millions of crystalline warriors who showed no mercy to anyone they conquered. Captain Deho watched the enemy ships through his small fighter's window. The Vorthak fleet surrounded their home planet like angry wasps around their nest. Each ship was twice the size of anything humans had built, covered in sharp edges that gleamed red in the alien sun's light. "This is crazy," his co-pilot whispered. "There are thousands of them down there." Deho nodded but kept flying toward the planet. The plan was simple but dangerous. While the main Vorthak fleet was busy attacking human colonies, a small team would slip onto their homeworld and capture their queen. Nobody expected humans to be brave enough or stupid enough to try such a thing. The Vorthak had ruled the galaxy for hundreds of years. They were tall creatures with bodies like living crystal, sharp and beautiful but deadly to touch. Their blood was acid that could melt through metal. When they spoke, their voices sounded like breaking glass. Every species in the galaxy feared them, but humans were different. They didn't run away when the Vorthak came. They fought back in ways that confused their enemies. While other species tried to match the Vorthak's powerful weapons, humans used tricks and plans that made no sense to anyone else. Deho's ship landed in a deep canyon on the Vorthak world. The air was thick and red, and everything smelled like metal and blood. Strange plants with crystal leaves grew from the rocks. In the distance, they could see the Queen's palace rising like a mountain of black glass. "Remember," Deho told his team as they put on their breathing masks, "we're not here to fight. We're here to take their queen alive and get out." The team was small. Besides Deho, there was Nayun, who was good at breaking into things, Taimin, who handled communications, and Boram, who knew about alien biology. They had studied the Vorthak for months, learning their weak points and habits. Getting into the palace was easier than expected. The Vorthak never thought anyone would be foolish enough to attack their homeworld. Most of their guards were away with the fleet, conquering other planets. The few guards left behind were surprised to see humans walking through their halls. Nayun moved like a shadow through the crystal corridors. She knew exactly where to find the Queen's chambers. The Vorthak built everything the same way, following patterns that humans had figured out. Their predictability was their weakness. Queen Nalthis was in her throne room when they found her. She was beautiful and terrible, standing 8 feet tall with skin like red diamonds. Her crown was made of the bones of creatures from a dozen worlds. When she saw the humans, she laughed, and the sound was like ice breaking. "Little meat creatures," she said in perfect human language. "You come to die in my home?" "We come to take you with us," Deho replied calmly. The Queen laughed again, but then Boram threw a small device at her feet. Gas filled the room, and the Queen's laughter turned to confusion. She tried to call for her guards, but the gas made her weak and sleepy. Her crystal skin lost its bright glow as she fell to her knees. What is this?" she whispered as darkness took her. "Something that works on your biology," Boram said quietly. "We studied you for a long time. Getting out was harder than getting in." Alarms rang through the palace as they carried the unconscious Queen to their ship. Vorthak guards came running, their crystal claws sparking against the metal walls. But the humans had planned for this too. Taimin set off explosions that blocked the hallways behind them. Nayun found secret passages that led straight to their landing site. When Vorthak flyers came after them, Deho flew their ship through the crystal canyons where the bigger enemy ships couldn't follow. They made it to space just as the main Vorthak fleet returned to their home world. Thousands of angry ships chased the small human vessel, but Deho had one more trick. He flew into an asteroid field where human ships were waiting. The Vorthak had to choose between chasing one ship or protecting their fleet from ambush. By the time they decided, the humans were gone. Queen Nalthis woke up in a small, clean room. The walls were white metal, not crystal. The air smelled different, not like blood and metal, but like something she couldn't identify. Something that made her feel strange and uncomfortable. She tried to stand, but found her hands and feet were held by chains. Not painful chains, but ones she couldn't break. She pulled against them, and her crystal skin sparked, but the chains held firm. "Let me go," she screamed. "Do you know what you have done? My fleet will find you. They will burn your worlds to ash." Nobody answered. The room was quiet except for a strange sound coming through the walls. It was rhythmic like breathing, but deeper, And there was something else, a smell that was completely alien to her. It wasn't unpleasant, but it was unlike anything on her home world. For the first time in her long life, Queen Nalthis felt something she had never experienced before. She felt uncertain. The humans had done something impossible. They had captured her in her own palace and taken her away from everything she knew. She had expected torture or death. That was what conquerors did to their enemies. But this small room didn't feel like a torture chamber. It felt like... She didn't have words for what it felt like. The queen settled back against the wall and tried to think. Her head felt cloudy from whatever the humans had used to capture her, but slowly her mind began to clear. She would wait and see what these strange creatures wanted. Then she would find a way to make them pay for their boldness. Outside her cell, the human ship traveled through space toward an unknown destination. The queen could feel the ship moving, but she had no idea where they were taking her or what they planned to do. All she knew was that for the first time in centuries, she was not the one in control. The door to Queen Nalthis' cell opened 3 hours later. She expected to see a soldier or perhaps one of the humans who had captured her. Instead, a man in his 40s walked in carrying a small table and chair. He wore simple clothes and an apron that was stained with various colors. His hair was starting to turn gray, and he moved slowly like someone who was tired but not afraid. "Good morning, Your Majesty," the man said politely as he set down the table. "My name is Jin Wu. I hope you slept well." The queen stared at him. This was not what she had expected at all. Where were the interrogators? Where were the torture devices? This human looked like he worked in a kitchen, not a prison. "What do you want with me?" she demanded. Jin Wu pulled a small device from his pocket and pointed it at her. A soft beep came from the machine. "I'm checking your vital signs," he explained. "Heart rate, body temperature, blood chemistry. You've been unconscious for several hours and we want to make sure you're healthy." "Healthy?" The queen's voice rose to a shriek that made the metal walls ring. "You kidnapped me from my throne and now you care if I'm healthy?" "Of course we do," Jin Wu said, looking genuinely surprised by her reaction. "You're our prisoner, which means you're our responsibility. We have to take care of you." The queen had lived for over 300 years. She had conquered 47 planets and destroyed countless civilizations. Never in all that time had anyone spoken to her the way this human was speaking now. He talked to her like she was a person, not an enemy or a weapon. "I don't understand," she said slowly. Jin Wu sat down in the chair he had brought and pulled out a tablet. "According to our research, your species needs to eat every 6 hours or you become sick. It's been 18 hours since you were captured. You must be very hungry." The queen realized he was right. Her stomach felt empty and painful. Among the Vorthak, hunger was constant. It drove them to fight and conquer. Hunger was strength. But this human seemed to think hunger was a problem to be solved. "I will eat nothing you give me," she said proudly. "Why?" Jin Wu asked, tilting his head like he was genuinely curious. "Because you will poison me." Jin Wu nodded thoughtfully. "That makes sense. You don't trust us. But Your Majesty, if we wanted to kill you, why would we go to all the trouble of kidnapping you first? We could have just blown up your palace." The queen had no answer for that. It was true that the humans could have killed her easily while she was unconscious. Instead, they had brought her to this clean, comfortable room. "What do you want from me?" she asked again. "Right now? I want you to eat something." Jin Wu stood up and walked to the door. "I'll bring you a few different options. If you don't like any of them, you can tell me what kind of food you prefer." He left the queen alone with her confusion. In Vorthak culture, prisoners were given nothing but water until they broke. Food was earned through submission or taken by force. The idea that an enemy would offer her choices was completely alien to her way of thinking. Jin Wu returned 30 minutes later with a tray of small bowls. The smell that came with him was the same strange scent the queen had noticed earlier, but stronger now. It was warm and complex, unlike anything from her homeworld. "I wasn't sure what you could eat safely," he said as he set the tray on the table. "Your people are silicon-based, but you also have carbon compounds in your blood. So I prepared a few different things. Each bowl contained something different. One had a clear liquid that steamed gently. Another had small pieces of what looked like metal but smelled organic. A third held a thick mixture that was deep red in color. "This one," Jin Wu said, pointing to the clear liquid, "is a basic mineral broth. It has the metals and salts your body needs. This one has protein molecules that should be compatible with your biology. And this one," he pointed to the red mixture, "is something new. It's based on the crystals that grow on your homeworld but processed to be easier to digest. The queen stared at the food. No one had ever prepared a meal for her. In Vorthak society, the strong took food from the weak. Queens ate first because they were the most powerful, not because anyone cared about their comfort. "I don't understand why you're doing this," she said quietly. Jin Wu sat back down in his chair. "Your Majesty, can I ask you a question?" She nodded, still staring at the food. "When you conquer a planet, what happens to the people who live there?" "They serve the Empire or they die," she replied automatically. "And before you conquered them, were they your enemies?" The queen frowned. "No, they were simply in our way. But you killed them anyway, of course. That is what conquerors do." Jin Wu was quiet for a moment. "We don't see it that way. To us, you're not really our enemy. You're someone who has been hurting people, and we want that to stop. But that doesn't mean we want to hurt you back. Then what do you want?" "We want to understand why you do the things you do. We want to know if there's a way to stop the fighting without anyone else getting hurt." Jin Wu gestured toward the bowls. "And we want to make sure you're healthy while we figure that out." The queen looked at the food again. The warm smell was making her mouth water. Her stomach ached with hunger. But accepting food from an enemy felt like accepting defeat. "If I eat your food, what then?" "Then you won't be hungry anymore," Jin Wu said simply. "That's all. No tricks, no conditions. You're a living being and living beings need to eat." The queen reached for the bowl of clear broth. Her hand shook slightly as she lifted it to her lips. The liquid was warm and tasted like the mineral springs of her homeworld, but cleaner somehow. As it went down her throat, she felt some of the pain in her stomach ease. She drank the entire bowl without stopping. When she finished, she looked up at Jin Wu. He was smiling, but it wasn't the cruel smile of a conqueror. It was the gentle smile of someone who was pleased to help. "Better?" he asked. The queen nodded, not trusting herself to speak. "Good. I'll check on you again in a few hours. If you need anything before then, just press this button." He showed her a small device attached to the wall. "Someone will come help you." As Jin Wu gathered up the empty bowls and prepared to leave, the queen found her voice again. "Why?" she whispered. He paused at the door and looked back at her. "Because everyone deserves kindness, Your Majesty. Even queens who have forgotten what kindness feels like." Over the next 3 days, Jin Wu visited Queen Nalthis 6 times. Each visit brought food and quiet conversation. The queen found herself looking forward to these meetings, though she couldn't understand why. The human never asked her for military secrets or demanded information about Vorthak defenses. Instead, he asked strange questions about her daily life. What did she do when she wasn't commanding fleets? Did she have friends? What did her home world look like when she was young? "Why do you want to know these things?" she asked on his 4th visit. Jin Wu was preparing another meal, this time something that looked like soup but sparkled with tiny crystals. "Because I'm trying to understand you," he said. "Not Queen Nalthis the Conqueror. You as a person, I am not a person. I am Vorthak. I am your enemy. You're both," Jin Wu replied calmly. "You can be an enemy and still be a person who gets hungry and tired and lonely. Lonely." The word hit the queen like a physical blow. She had never thought about loneliness before. Vorthak didn't have friends or families the way other species did. They had rank and power and fear. But the queen realized that in 300 years of ruling, she had never had a single conversation like the ones she was having with this human cook. "Tell me about your family," she said suddenly. Jin Wu's hands paused in their work. For a moment his face looked very sad. "They're gone," he said quietly. "My wife and 2 children lived on Harmony Station when your fleet attacked it 2 years ago." The queen's crystal skin went cold. She remembered Harmony Station. It had been a small human colony, mostly families and scientists. The attack had lasted only minutes. "No survivors, I ordered that attack," she whispered. "I know. Then why are you being kind to me?" Jin Wu continued preparing the soup. "Because killing you won't bring them back. And because someone has to break the circle." "What circle?" "The circle of hurt. You hurt my family, so I hurt you, so you hurt more humans, so more humans want to hurt Vorthak. It goes on forever unless someone decides to stop." The queen stared at him. "You don't want revenge?" "Of course I want revenge," Jin Wu said, and for the first time his voice was hard. "I want to make you feel the pain I felt when I lost everything. But wanting something and doing it are different things." He finished the soup and set it in front of her. This time she ate it immediately. Over the past 3 days, her appetite had changed. She no longer felt the constant gnawing hunger that had driven her for centuries. The pain in her stomach was gone, replaced by a strange feeling of satisfaction. "This food you make," she said between spoonfuls, "it's different from what my people eat." "How so?" "It makes me feel like a full, complete. Vorthak are always hungry, always wanting more. But when I eat your food, the wanting stops." Jinwoo leaned forward in his chair. "Tell me more about that hunger." The queen set down her spoon and thought carefully. "It starts when we're young. A pain in the belly that never goes away. It makes us angry and desperate. The only thing that helps is taking what we want from others. Taking food, taking everything. Food, land, power. The hunger doesn't care what we take as long as we're taking something. And after you take it, does the hunger go away?" "For a little while. But it always comes back, stronger than before." Jinwoo nodded slowly. "Your Majesty, can I show you something?" He pulled out his tablet and showed her a display covered with numbers and charts. "This is a scan of your blood from when you first arrived. Do you see these levels here?" The queen looked at the screen but couldn't understand what she was seeing. "These are toxin levels," Jinwoo explained. "Your blood is full of compounds that cause pain and aggression. It's like having poison in your system all the time. That's impossible. Vorthak blood is pure. Look at this." Jinwoo swiped to another screen. "This is your blood from yesterday." "The toxin levels are down by 60%. The queen stared at the numbers. "How?" "The food I've been giving you. It contains compounds that neutralize the toxins. The hunger you felt your whole life? It wasn't natural. It was your body being slowly poisoned by your own diet." The room was very quiet. The queen could hear the hum of the ship's engines and the sound of her own breathing. "You're saying that everything my people feel the need to conquer and destroy, it's because we're sick?" "I think so. And I think we can cure it." Before the queen could respond, the door opened. Captain Nayun stepped in, her face grim. "I'm sorry to interrupt," she said to Jinwoo, "but we need to talk. Both of you." Nayun activated a wall screen that showed the view outside the ship. Dozens of Vorthak warships surrounded them, their red hulls gleaming menacingly in the starlight. "They found us an hour ago," Nayun said. "We've been monitoring their communications." A voice filled the room, speaking in the harsh Vorthak language. The queen translated automatically. "They're demanding that I be returned to them immediately." "That's not the worst part," Nayun continued. "Listen to this." Another voice came through the speakers, and the queen's crystal skin went pale. "What are they saying?" Jinwoo asked. The queen's voice was barely a whisper. "They're not here to rescue me. They're here to execute me." "Execute you? Why?" "Because I've been contaminated. Because I've spent time with inferior species without killing them. In Vorthak law, any leader who shows weakness must die." Nayun nodded grimly. "They've given us 1 hour to hand you over, or they'll destroy the ship." The queen stood up, her chains clinking. "Then give me to them. I won't let you die because of me." "Your Majesty," Jinwoo said quietly. "What if you didn't have to go back?" "What do you mean?" "What if there was another choice?" The queen looked at the human who had fed her and cared for her, and shown her kindness she had never known existed. Then she looked at the screen showing her own people, ready to kill her for the crime of being treated like a person. For the first time in her long life, Queen Nalthis realized she had a decision to make. The queen stared at the screen showing her own fleet. Ships that had once obeyed her every command now pointed their weapons at the human vessel. She could see the flagship where she had lived for decades, its black crystal hull scarred from countless battles. "Explain this choice," she said to Jinwoo. Before he could answer, Captain Daeho entered the room with Boram close behind. Both humans looked tense but determined. "Your Majesty," Daeho said formally, "we need you to understand what we've discovered about your people." Boram stepped forward with her tablet. "Over the past 3 days, we've been studying your biology. The changes in your body have been remarkable." She showed the queen more charts and graphs. "The toxins in your blood aren't natural. They come from your food, your water, even the air on your homeworld. Your entire planet has been slowly poisoning your species for thousands of years." "That's impossible," the queen said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Is it?" Jinwoo asked gently. "Think about your history. Were the ancient Vorthak as aggressive as you are now? Did they always have this hunger that drives them to conquer?" The queen was quiet for a long moment. Deep in her memory, she could recall old stories her tutors had told her as a child. Tales of a time when the Vorthak were explorers and builders, not conquerors. There are legends, she admitted slowly, from before the Great Hunger began. But those are just stories. What if they're not stories? Boram asked. What if they're memories of what your people were like before the poisoning started? Captain Nayun checked her communicator. 40 minutes until their deadline. There's more, Deho said urgently. Show her the message. Taemin, who had been quietly working at a communication station, played a recording. It was the voice of the Queen's own second-in-command, General Vextar. The message was cold and formal. Queen Nalthis has been contaminated by prolonged contact with inferior species. She has shown weakness by allowing herself to be captured alive. By the ancient laws of our people, she must be cleansed by fire. If the humans do not surrender her within 1 hour, we will destroy their ship and cleanse her remains from space. Cleansed by fire, the Queen repeated. The most painful death our people know. They're not just going to kill you, Jinwoo said quietly. They're going to torture you first. For the crime of surviving. The Queen's crystal skin flickered with dim light as emotions she couldn't name moved through her. This is what I would do if one of my generals showed such weakness. But is it right? Jinwoo asked. The question hung in the air like a challenge. In all her centuries of life, no one had ever asked the Queen if something was right or wrong. Things simply were what they were. The strong ruled, the weak served, and mercy was a luxury no leader could afford. I don't understand right, she said finally. Right means doing something because it helps others, not because it helps you, Jinwoo explained. Right means choosing to be kind when you could choose to be cruel. Like feeding an enemy who has destroyed your family? Yes. The Queen looked around the room at the humans who had captured her. They could have tortured her for information. They could have killed her in revenge for the world she had destroyed. Instead, they had fed her and healed her and shown her possibilities she had never imagined. What is this choice you spoke of? She asked. Deho stepped forward. We can give you a new identity. New documents, a new life on a human world where no one will know who you used to be. You could live peacefully without the hunger that has driven your people to war. Or, Boram added, you could help us. You could work with us to find a way to cure your people, to end the poisoning that has made them into conquerors. And if I refuse? If I choose to return to my fleet? The humans looked at each other. Finally, Nayun spoke. Then we'll let you go. We won't hand you over to be tortured, but we'll take you close enough to your ships that you can get aboard safely. Even knowing I'll probably order them to destroy you? Even then, the Queen felt something crack inside her chest. Not physically, but something deeper. Some wall that had stood around her heart for 3 centuries was beginning to crumble. Why would you make such an offer? Because, Jinwoo said, sitting down across from her one more time. Everyone deserves a choice. Even queens. Even enemies. He pulled out a bowl from his bag. It was filled with the same soup he had been giving her for days. Warm, nourishing, and completely different from anything she had ever known on her home world. This is what we're offering you, he said as he set the bowl in front of her. Not just food for your body, but food for the part of you that's been starving for something other than conquest. The Queen looked at the soup, then at the screen showing her fleet. In 30 minutes they would open fire. Her own people, ready to kill her for the weakness of being treated with kindness. If I stay with you, she said slowly, what would I do? I'm a warrior and a queen. I don't know how to be anything else, or you could learn, Boram said. We could teach you. There are so many things to be besides a warrior. Like what? Jinwoo smiled. Well, you could help me in the kitchen. You've been eating my cooking for days. Maybe it's time you learned how to make food instead of just taking it. The idea was so strange, so completely foreign to everything the Queen had ever known, that she almost laughed. Queen Nalthis, conqueror of worlds, learning to cook soup in a human kitchen. But as she thought about it, she realized it didn't sound terrible. It sounded peaceful. There's something else you should know, Taemin said from his communication station. We've been monitoring the chatter from your fleet. The crews are asking questions about why they're here to kill their own queen instead of rescue her. They're starting to doubt their orders? The Queen asked some of them. Not all, but some. The Queen picked up the bowl of soup and held it in her hands. It was warm, and the warmth spread through her crystal fingers. For the first time in her life, she felt truly full, not just in her stomach, but in her spirit. If I help you, she said quietly, if I choose to stay and work with you to cure my people, what guarantee do I have that you won't betray me later? The humans looked at each other, and then Jinwoo answered with simple honesty. None. You'll have to trust us, just like we're choosing to trust you. The Queen nodded slowly. Trust. Another concept she had never experienced before meeting these strange, kind humans. She took a sip of the soup and made her choice. I choose to stay, Queen Nalthis said quietly. The words felt strange in her mouth. In 300 years of ruling, she had never chosen anything based on what she wanted. She had always chosen based on what made her stronger or what hurt her enemies more. This was different. This was choosing hope over fear. Captain Deho nodded. Then we need to move fast. Taemin, open a channel to the Vorthak fleet. Wait, the Queen said, standing up. Let me speak to them first, alone. Your Majesty, Jinwoo said gently. They're planning to execute you. Are you sure you want to face them? I've been running from who I was, she replied. But maybe it's time to use who I was to become who I want to be. The humans set up the communication link. On the main screen, General Vextar appeared. His crystal armor was polished black and his eyes glowed red with anger. Nalthis, he said, not using her title. You will surrender yourself immediately for cleansing. Hello, old friend, the Queen said calmly. You look well. Vexitar's expression flickered with surprise. The Queen had never spoken to him so casually before. You have been contaminated by these creatures. Your mind is corrupted. My mind is clear for the first time in centuries, she replied. Tell me, Vextar, when did you last feel full? When did you last eat a meal and feel satisfied? Satisfaction is weakness. Hunger drives us to greatness, does it? Or does it drive us to pain? The Queen could see other Vorthak officers on the bridge behind Vextar. They were listening to every word. Good. I want to show you something, she continued. She gestured to Jinwoo, who stepped into view of the camera. This is Jinwoo, the Queen said. 2 years ago, I ordered the destruction of his family. His wife and children died when we attacked Harmony Station. Vextar laughed, the sound like breaking glass. And now he serves you? These humans truly are pathetic. No, the Queen said. I serve him? The laughter stopped. Vextar stared at the screen in shock. He has been feeding me, the Queen continued. Caring for me. Healing me. Not because I'm strong enough to force him, but because he chose to show kindness to an enemy. Impossible. Watch. The Queen turned to Jinwoo. Could you bring me some of that soup? Jinwoo nodded and left the room. While he was gone, the Queen looked directly at the camera. My loyal soldiers, she said, speaking not just to Vextar but to every Vorthak listening. How many of you are in pain right now? How many of you feel the burning hunger in your bellies that never goes away? She could see some of the officers behind Vextar shifting uncomfortably. I felt that pain for 300 years. I thought it was normal. I thought it made me strong. But these humans have shown me something different. Jinwoo returned with a bowl of the sparkling soup. The Queen took it and held it up so the camera could see it clearly. This is medicine, she said. Not a weapon, not a tool of conquest. Just simple food that heals instead of hurts. She drank the soup slowly, deliberately. As she did, her crystal skin began to glow with soft, warm light instead of the harsh red glow of anger and hunger. The pain is gone, she said when the bowl was empty. For the first time since I was a child, I am not hungry. I am not angry. I am peaceful. Vextar was backing away from the camera. This is sorcery. These creatures have poisoned you. They've cured me, the Queen corrected. And they can cure you too. All of you. Boram stepped into view. General Vextar, she said formally. My name is Dr. Boram. I'm a xenobiologist. We've discovered that your species has been suffering from chronic mineral poisoning for thousands of years. The aggression and hunger you feel isn't natural. It's a medical condition and we can treat it. Lies. But the Queen could see doubt in Vextar's eyes. She could see it in the faces of the other officers too. They had all lived with the pain their entire lives. The possibility that it could end was something they had never dared to imagine. I'm going to transmit something to your ships, the Queen said. The formula for the medicine that cured me. You can analyze it, test it, see for yourselves that it's not poison. Don't you dare. Vextar shouted, but it was too late. Taemin had already sent the data to every ship in the Vorthak fleet. The Queen could see confusion spreading through the bridge behind Vextar as officers began receiving the information. You have a choice to make, the Queen continued. You can follow the old ways, kill me for showing weakness and continue living with pain forever. Or you can try something new. You can choose to heal instead of hurt. One of the younger officers stepped forward. Your Majesty, he said, ignoring Vextar's angry glare. This medicine, It really works? It really works, Commander Thexal. The humans call it soup. Soup? Food made with care instead of taken by force. It seems like such a small thing, but it changes everything. Vexitar pushed Thexal aside. Enough. You will surrender now, or we will destroy you and everyone on that ship. The Queen looked at Jinwoo, who nodded encouragingly. She looked at the other humans who had shown her such unexpected kindness. Then she looked back at the camera. No, she said simply. What? I said no, old friend. I will not surrender to be tortured and killed for the crime of learning to be happy. And I don't think you really want to kill me either. I have my orders. From who? From the empire that taught us that pain was strength? From the culture that told us we could only survive by making others suffer? The Queen's voice grew stronger with each word. I'm giving you new orders, General. I'm ordering you to try the medicine. I'm ordering you to see if there's a better way to live. The communication channel filled with voices as Vorthak officers began arguing among themselves. Some demanded immediate attack. Others wanted to know more about the medicine. Still others questioned why they were planning to kill their own queen instead of learning from her experience. Your Majesty, Thexal said, pushing back to the front of the screen, if we try this medicine, what then? What happens to the Empire? The Queen thought for a moment. Maybe the Empire becomes something better. Maybe instead of conquering other worlds, we start healing them. Maybe instead of taking what we want, we start making what we need. She held up the empty soup bowl. Maybe we learn that the greatest strength isn't the ability to destroy, but the ability to create. The screen went dark as Vextar cut the communication link. But it was too late. The message had been sent to every ship in the fleet. The formula had been transmitted. The seed of doubt had been planted. Over the next few hours, the human ship waited as chaos spread through the Vorthak fleet. Some ships demanded immediate attack. Others began synthesizing the medicine to test it. A few ships actually broke away from the fleet entirely, their crews deciding they wanted nothing to do with executing their own queen. Finally, Commander Thexal contacted them directly. Your Majesty, he said, his young face filled with wonder. We tried the medicine. The pain, it's really gone. I'm glad, the Queen said warmly. What do we do now? The Queen looked around the room at her human friends. Jinwoo was preparing another meal, this time enough for everyone. Bo-Ram was working on ways to mass-produce the medicine. Daeho and Nayeon were planning supply runs to help more Vorthak ships. Now, the Queen said, we learn how to build instead of destroy. We learn how to heal instead of hurt. We learn that the greatest conquest of all is conquering our own pain. 6 months later, Queen Nalthis stood in the galley of a new kind of ship. Half the crew was human, half was Vorthak. They worked together, preparing meals that would feed both species safely and healthily. She was no longer a queen in the old sense. She had no throne, no crown, no empire to rule. Instead, she had something better. She had purpose. She had friends. She had the satisfaction that came from helping others instead of hurting them. Jinwoo handed her a ladle. Ready to serve today's soup? She smiled, her crystal skin glowing with warm, peaceful light. Always. As they served bowls of healing broth to a line of grateful beings from a dozen different worlds, the former queen of the Vorthak Empire reflected on how much her life had changed. All because one human had offered her something she had never experienced before: unconditional kindness. The galaxy was still full of conflicts and problems. But in this small corner of space, former enemies worked side by side, proving that even the deepest hatred could be healed with patience, understanding, and a good bowl of soup.